But when people try to argue that she's not the face of our league,
Yeah.
or if our league would be where we're at without her, you're literally dumb as fuck.
Finally, someone who gets it. Finally, someone in the WNBA who understands this thing called business.
Hey, Sophie. If they didn't like you then, they sure aren't going to like you now.
The most explosive podcast episode in WNBA history was been released by Sophie Cunningham, and her remarks are going to send shockwaves across the basketball community. The unofficial bodyguard for the Indiana Fever just lost it on. Anyone who dares disparage Caitlin Clark will be completely astounded by what she disclosed.
Sophie Cunningham letting it all out and not holding back. She calls out the old guard. She calls out the people out there who refuse to say Caitlin Clark is the face of the league.
Cunningham did more than just defend herself in her recently launched podcast, Show Me Something, with Colin Cowherd's The Volume Network. Her teammate, she used rhetoric that was so unvarnished and unadulterated that she destroyed everyone who questioned Clark's influence. That the internet is currently being disrupted by it.
I'm not saying that your job is easy, but when it is a simple call right in front of your face multiple times, what are you doing?
Here's the shocking revelation that has everyone talking, though. Cunningham's furious response to Indiana's recent remarks. Fever leadership that rendered her utterly dumbfounded. These days, it goes beyond simple team allegiance. This player is prepared to represent women's basketball at war. Prepare for the most brutal take on you've ever heard, because Sophie Cunningham just expressed what everyone has been speculating about.
Although most WNBA players have no idea how to become stars, there is one player in this dump with a functional brain.
Officially, Sophie Cunningham has had enough after witnessing Caitlin Clark being mistreated and singled out. She just launched the most vicious verbal attack in podcast history after being undercut for months. What about her target? Does anyone dare doubt that Clark is the WNBA's unquestioned face? You really are as stupid as hell. These 4 words are currently trending on all social media platforms after Cunningham's explosion on her new show. Platform, however, that was only the start of her flaming hot opinions that are revolutionizing the basketball world. Burning, just a few days ago, Cunningham joined Colin Cowherd's The Volume Network, and her first episode became an immediate classic. She didn't hold back when supporting her co-host, Bravo star West Wilson, against the detractors and bigots.
The jealousy of Caitlin Clark was the topic of conversation. Sophie Cunningham was criticizing those who refused to acknowledge that Caitlin Clark is the face of the WNBA.
It annoys me, she said, her voice full of fury, when I witness others claiming that Clark isn't the face of this. You're just being incredibly stupid, league.
And it literally pisses me off when people are like, she's not the face of the league.
Who would be?
What?
Sabrina? No.
No, there's really good, well-known people in our league. I'm not discrediting them. Hell yeah to that. I'm all for that. But when people try to argue that she's not the face of our league, or if our league would be where we're at without her, you're literally dumb as fuck.
The impact is real, the figures are real, and anyone who cannot see it is blind. However, this is where the narrative diverges. Utterly crazy, according to people close to the group, recent remarks left Cunningham dumbfounded. From the leadership of the Indiana Fever, and her podcast outburst may be a direct reaction to behind-the-scenes conflict that fans are never privy to, was aware of.
You have seen players in our league try to toughen up Caitlin. We call her CC. Even when I wasn't on her team. I know the talks that Phoenix had in the locker room of no, we're gonna prove her, we're gonna show her what the W really is. You know what I mean? And I get it to a certain extent, and every rookie coming into the league, that's how you're gonna treat them. But there's just more for her. So it's her second year. And now being on her team and seeing it, I'm what are people doing? It's just too much.
You've witnessed players in our league attempt to make Caitlin more resilient, Cunningham disclosed. We call her CC, revealing the grim reality of what Clark encounters in each and every game. Even though I wasn't on her team, CC, I am aware of the true agenda against her. And it's simply excessive.
WNBA. Sophie Cunningham also talks about how teams target being rough with Caitlin Clark. We gotta toughen her up. We gotta rough her up a little bit. We gotta really show her what it's like over here.
Every WNBA fan should shudder when they hear those words. Cunningham is confirming our collective suspicions. The most well-liked player in women's sports is being targeted and intimidated by a concerted campaign throughout the league. History of basketball. The Cunningham isn't merely speaking, though. On the court, she has been supporting it. Recall the moment she began that heroic battle to protect Clark from the Connecticut Sun. That was a player who was experiencing more than simply the heat of the moment. Prepared to toss hands in support of her teammate, she isn't being adequately protected by the referees. Cunningham erupted in another section. I've witnessed enough dirty moves, cheap shots, and targeting to realize that something needs to happen right now.
Sophie said some very unapologetic things. The kind of things that have made her beloved by Fever fans and continued to have her adversaries and detractors crash out.
Cunningham's bombshell claims are overwhelmingly supported by the facts. When Clark was hurt and didn't, WNBA TV ratings fell by over 50% during games. When she was unable to participate in the Indiana All-Star Game, viewership vanished and ticket prices plummeted. These facts demonstrate Clark's extraordinary abilities. They are not opinions. Influence throughout the league. Additionally, Cunningham is utilizing her new platform to ensure that everyone is aware of the reality of what's taking place.
I mean, she has changed our game in the best possible way in every way. And so just to be alongside of her and maybe relieve the pressure.
However, this is what gives Cunningham's podcast eruption even more potency. She is not merely standing up for Clark. She is standing up for her as a teammate because she has witnessed the disrespect from within the organization. Cunningham was allegedly rendered stunned by remarks made by the Fever leadership, which implies even on Clark's own team, there may be conflict. Are there members of the organization that don't quite understand what do they have in Clark? Cunningham's harsh reaction implies that she saw something that went too far. Something that infuriated her so much that she had to correct the record on her new podcast site. For example, what's wrong with the referees? I'm not sure, she said, clearly frustrated. It's just too much. I can no longer remain silent in the face of her targeting, contempt, and attempts to downplay her accomplishments. This isn't just podcast material, as demonstrated by the unadulterated emotion in Cunningham's voice throughout these pieces. This is sincere rage from someone who has witnessed her teammate being mistreated over an extended period of time. What makes this circumstance even? The fact that Cunningham isn't just any player seeking attention makes him more combustible. She is a teammate of Clark. Someone who has insider knowledge of everything that has been going on, as well as her on-court protector. Behind the scenes, when she claims that Clark is the target of an agenda and discusses how players are attempting to make her more difficult. These are not conspiracy ideas. When she discusses the absence of referee protection, these are direct observations from someone who has witnessed each and every event.
How do you get out of here? But it's funny now that, I told the people upstairs, I was like, I will be her Sabrina Carpenter any day, to her Taylor Swift. Like, I am so excited for this. And I just think, honestly, she's just a great human too. She has a lot of pressure and a lot of eyes on her shoulders, and she handles it so gracefully, and she's just a great human. So I'm just excited to be a part of something like that. And she passes the ball, which I enjoy.
Cunningham's podcast's blunt honesty is exactly what the WNBA needs at this moment. Someone who is prepared to tell the truth regarding the disdain, targeting, and unfair treatment that the biggest star in the league has been subjected to, has become the rallying cry for Clark supporters worldwide, and Cunningham just provided them with the ideal soundbite to employ against anyone who attempts to downplay the significance of their preferred players. However, this podcast isn't only about protecting Clark. It's about revealing the poisonous culture that permits superstars to be singled out and treated disrespectfully without repercussions. Cunningham is revealing things that the league would rather keep under wraps.
Then I'll get fined for that, and then I'll get fined for this, and then the fines continue.
This message is really important to her, as seen by the fact that she decided to go this hard in her first episode. Neither the material nor the talking points were pre-planned. This was someone's unadulterated, pure emotion. She has seen too much injustice. Ratings dropped by more than 50% when Clark sustained that injury and missed nearly a month of work, Cunningham said, providing specific evidence to support her claims. How are those statistics possible for anyone to look at and continue to wonder if she truly represents this league?
Not even just the league, but like women's basketball as a whole around the world. No, I think it's awesome. I think it's so funny because she's like 22, 23 years old, and the whole world is watching her.
Yeah.
Like, it is a cult following. I'm not kidding.
No, it's wild.
Like,
the airport today.
Insane.
It was like 22 everywhere.
There is no denying the statistical proof of Clark's significance each time she is not in the lineup. There is a sharp decline in WNBA interest. TV ratings skyrocket and arenas sell out every time she performs. Cunningham's readiness to employ her enthusiasm for this issue is evident in the forceful words she uses. She's not attempting to be tactful or politically accurate, she is attempting to make people aware of the true significance of Clark to women's basketball. The explosive content and the timing of this podcast's release indicate that Cunningham has been preparing this defense for some time. She used the Volume Network to protect her platform, and right away utilized it to present the strongest defense of Clark that we have ever heard. The league is currently dealing with a public. Cunningham's blunt honesty caused a breakdown in relations. When one of their own players calls out, how do they react? The system and fervently defending their biggest star. This is not going away anytime soon. Now that Cunningham has a weekly podcast platform, she can keep bringing attention to these problems and defending Clark in the event of fresh instances. The WNBA recently acquired its most fearless supporter of equitable treatment of celebrities. Sophie Cunningham initiated a revolution. In addition to standing up for her comrade, her podcast, Show Me Something, simply become essential listening material for anyone seeking the unvarnished reality of what's actually taking place in basketball for women. There's more, though. The consequences of Cunningham's nuclear podcast are already causing chaos in the WNBA ecology as a whole. According to reports, league executives are convening urgent talks to determine how to deal with this PR disaster, and players from all 12 teams are picking sides in what's turning into the largest internal conflict in the history of women's basketball. Sources from the league office report that Cunningham's inflammatory remarks caught WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert off guard, and is currently frantically trying to limit the harm. Cunningham revealed more than just one irate teammate. Systemic problems that cannot be ignored. This is far more than just keeping Caitlin safe. Cunningham went on to make her most startling discovery to date. I've been in this league long enough to observe how they handle their stars, and what I've seen in private would make you furious. The veteran of the Phoenix Mercury then revealed a shocking revelation that no one anticipated. Do you recall Diana Taurasi being disparaged during her best years? Identical playbook. They allow veterans to be singled out because it makes for interesting TV plots. Fans were unaware of the connections made by those words. Cunningham is proposing that in order to create drama, the league has a history of permitting its best stars to be singled out and treated disrespectfully. For ratings on television, however, this is when the narrative takes an even more bizarre turn. Numerous sources attest that Cunningham has received private messages from a number of current WNBA players thanking her for speaking up and discussing their personal encounters with comparable care. However, league executives and Commissioner Engelbert are allegedly enraged that things were getting out of hand. They may be considering disciplinary action, according to anonymous sources. Sarah Cunningham for her disparaging remarks about league operations and her inappropriate language. Because of Cunningham's courage to communicate the unvarnished truth, conversations that were necessary to occur, but no one had the courage to begin, she initiated a league-wide investigation in addition to defending her teammate of priorities and values. Now, the question is whether the WNBA will take advantage of this situation to address justifiable worries and enhance how they handle elite players, or will they make an effort to quiet critics and keep things as they are? Cunningham's history of bold honesty suggests that she won't be leaving quietly. This is only the start of what may turn out to be the most significant discussion in WNBA history.